March 1968. The Cold War is at its peak. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in a silent war beneath the waves. Nuclear submarines prowl the deep, carrying enough firepower to end civilization. One of these submarines is the Soviet K-129. It is a Gulf II-class submarine. 100 meters long. 2,000 tons of steel. It carries 3 nuclear ballistic missiles, each capable of destroying an entire city. It carries codebooks, encryption keys, secret communications equipment, and 98 men. It is patrolling the Pacific Ocean, somewhere northwest of Hawaii. The water is deep here. Very deep. Over 16,000 feet. 3 miles down. And then, it vanishes. No distress call. No warning. No wreckage. Just silence. The Soviet Navy realizes something is wrong immediately. The K-129 misses its scheduled radio check-in. Then another. Then another. Panic spreads through the Soviet High Command. They launch the largest search operation in their naval history. Dozens of ships. Submarines. Aircraft. They scour hundreds of thousands of square miles of the Pacific Ocean. 2 months of desperate searching. Nothing. Not a single piece of debris. Not a single body. Not a single clue. The Soviets are forced to accept the unthinkable. The K-129 is gone. Lost with all hands. Lost with all its secrets. They declare it a mystery. They close the file. They give up. But they are wrong. Because someone else was listening. The United States Navy has a secret. A network of underwater microphones called the Sound Surveillance System, or SOSUS. It was built to track Soviet submarines during the Cold War. And it is always listening. Deep beneath the Pacific, these microphones picked up something on March 8, 1968. A sharp, powerful sound. An explosion. An implosion. The death cry of a submarine being crushed by the ocean. The Americans triangulate the signal. They pinpoint the exact location of the wreck. They know where the K-129 is. But knowing where it is, and getting it, are two very different things. The submarine is resting 3 miles below the surface. 16,000 feet. The pressure at that depth is 8,000 pounds per square inch. 8,000 pounds. On every single inch of the hull. It is a world of absolute darkness. Near freezing temperatures. A world where no human being can survive. No nation on Earth has ever recovered anything from such a depth. It is considered physically impossible. A steel coffin, guarded by physics itself. But the CIA does not care about impossible. They care about what is inside that submarine. The nuclear missiles. The codebooks. The encryption equipment. If they can get their hands on those, they can read Soviet communications for years. They can learn the capabilities of Soviet nuclear weapons. They can gain an advantage that could win the Cold War. So they decide to do the impossible. They decide to steal a Soviet nuclear submarine from the bottom of the ocean. Now comes the hard part. You cannot just build a massive recovery ship and sail it into the Pacific. The Soviets are watching. KGB spies are everywhere. Naval intelligence. Satellites. If the Soviets see the US Navy trying to steal their lost submarine, it could trigger a diplomatic catastrophe. Maybe worse. Maybe World War III. The CIA needs a cover story. A lie so massive, so audacious, so unbelievably bold, that the entire world would believe it. And to sell that lie, they need a partner. A face. A name that the world trusts. They need a billionaire. Enter Howard Hughes. In the 1970s, Howard Hughes is one of the most famous men on Earth. A brilliant aerospace engineer. A movie producer. A record-setting aviator. And fabulously, unimaginably rich. He is also deeply eccentric. He lives in darkened hotel rooms. He is terrified of germs. He communicates through handwritten notes. He rarely appears in public. The CIA knows this. And they realize something brilliant. If Howard Hughes announces he is building a strange, massive ship for a bizarre business venture, nobody will question it. Because Howard Hughes does strange things. It is expected of him. Hughes agrees to the plan. He becomes the public face of the greatest deception in intelligence history. The story is announced to the world. Howard Hughes, the eccentric billionaire, is entering the deep-sea mining business. He is going to mine manganese nodules from the ocean floor. These potato-sized rocks, rich in valuable metals, lie scattered across the deepest parts of the Pacific. The media eats it up. The public is fascinated. The Soviets read the news and shrug. Another crazy American billionaire wasting his money. Nothing to see here. The ship is called the Hughes Glomar Explorer. It is massive. Over 600 feet long. A floating city of steel and electronics. The cost to build it is staggering. $350 million. In 1970s money. Today, that would be over $2 billion. The world watches the eccentric billionaire's new toy with amused curiosity. Nobody suspects a thing. But the Glomar Explorer is not a mining ship. It is a floating illusion. Inside its massive hull, hidden from every prying eye, is a secret no one can see. A giant mechanical claw. A claw the size of a building. A claw designed to descend 3 miles into the crushing abyss. And grab a 2,000-ton nuclear submarine off the ocean floor. The CIA calls it Project Azorian. And it is the most expensive, most audacious, most insane intelligence operation ever attempted. Summer 1974. The Glomar Explorer sails out of Long Beach, California. It heads into the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean. Destination: the exact coordinates of the sunken K-129. The Soviets are watching. They send spy ships. Intelligence-gathering trawlers that shadow the Glomar Explorer every mile of its journey. Soviet helicopters fly low over the deck, snapping photographs. They peer at the strange machinery. They watch the crew. They are deeply suspicious. But they see nothing. The Glomar Explorer looks exactly like what it claims to be. A mining ship. Workers in hard hats walk the deck. Cranes lift nondescript equipment. The radio chatter is boring and commercial. The cover holds. The Soviets eventually leave, convinced there is nothing to see. The most closely guarded secret in the world is hiding in plain sight. Now the real mission begins. Beneath the ship, giant mechanical doors slide open. The hull splits apart, revealing a massive moon pool. And from this opening, the mechanical claw begins its descent. It is the size of a small apartment building. Made of the strongest steel ever forged. Operated by the most advanced winching system ever built. It sinks slowly into the darkness. Down, down, down. 1 mile. Complete blackness. The temperature drops to near freezing. 2 miles. The pressure is now 4,000 pounds per square inch. Enough to crush a car like a tin can. 3 miles. The claw reaches the bottom. Days have passed since it left the surface. The tension in the control room is unbearable. Every movement of the claw is monitored by sonar. Every cable strain is measured. One wrong calculation, one mechanical failure, one moment of bad luck, and the claw could crush the nuclear missiles, triggering an underwater detonation that would be an environmental catastrophe and an international crisis. The claw hovers over the mangled wreck of the K-129. The operators hold their breath. It descends. It closes around the steel hull of the dead submarine. It locks. Slowly. Agonizingly. The massive winches begin to pull. 2,000 tons of Soviet steel are being lifted from the ocean floor. Mile by mile. Foot by foot. Inch by inch. The plan is working. The CIA is about to pull off the greatest intelligence heist in the history of the world. They are halfway up. 9,000 feet below the surface. The submarine is suspended in the black water, rising slowly toward the Glomar Explorer's hidden hold. Then, a sound. A sharp, deafening crack echoes through the steel cables. It reverberates through the entire ship. Silence. Then chaos. The stress is too much. The metal of the K-129, already weakened by the original explosion, already weakened by 6 years of saltwater corrosion in the deep, gives way. 2/3 of the Soviet submarine breaks off. The Americans watch the monitors in silent, helpless horror as the majority of the K-129 detaches from the claw. It falls. Slowly at first. Then faster. Then it is gone. Plunging 3 miles back down into the crushing darkness. Along with the nuclear missiles. Along with the codebooks. Along with everything they came for. Gone forever. The Glomar Explorer does manage to bring up the remaining front section. A small piece of the prize. Inside the twisted metal, they find something unexpected. The bodies of 6 Soviet submariners. These men were the enemy. But they were also sailors. And the sea does not distinguish between enemies. The Americans give them a military funeral. A solemn ceremony. They wrap the bodies in Soviet naval flags. They play the Soviet national anthem. They bury them at sea. With full honors. And then they swear everyone on board to absolute secrecy. No one will ever know what happened here. But did the CIA get what they wanted? Did they find any codebooks in that front section? Did they recover encryption keys? Did they reverse engineer Soviet torpedo technology? We do not know. The files remain highly classified to this day, buried deep in a CIA vault somewhere in Langley, Virginia. The few documents that have been released are heavily redacted. Whole pages are blacked out. Keywords are missing. The truth is still hidden. But secrets do not stay buried forever. In 1975, the story breaks. An investigative journalist has been following the money. He has been tracing the strange connection between Howard Hughes, the CIA, and a bizarre ship that cost $350 million but never mined a single nodule. The article hits the front page of the Los Angeles Times. The headline is explosive. The CIA stole a Soviet submarine. The public is stunned. Congress demands answers. The CIA is trapped. They cannot admit what they did. If they confirm the story, the Soviet Union will know the truth. They will know that the K-129 was violated. They will demand the return of their property. They will demand the bodies of their sailors. It could trigger the very crisis the mission was designed to avoid. But they cannot deny it either. Lying to the American people is a crime. So they invent something new. A phrase. 6 words that have never been used before in the English language. They tell the press, and they tell Congress, and they tell the world. We can neither confirm nor deny. 6 words. A linguistic firewall. A phrase so perfectly evasive that it gives away nothing. It admits nothing. It denies nothing. It simply refuses to engage. That phrase is still used today. By governments. By intelligence agencies. By anyone who wants to avoid telling the truth without technically lying. It is called the Glomar response. And it was born from this one audacious heist. The Glomar Explorer never stole another submarine. It was eventually converted into an actual deep-sea drilling ship. It worked for decades in the oil industry, its secret history known only to a few. Howard Hughes died in 1976, just 1 year after the story broke. He took his secrets with him. And the K-129 still lies on the floor of the Pacific Ocean. Broken in 2 pieces. Its missiles still missing. Its codebooks still lost. Its 98 sailors still entombed in the deep. The deepest parts of the ocean keep their secrets. And the CIA keeps theirs. If you appreciate deep dives into classified operations and the secrets governments spend billions to protect, subscribe to The Past Unsealed. We uncover the files they want to keep buried. The missions they said were impossible. The lies they told the world. And if you want to see more stories like this, tell us in the comments. What classified file should we unseal next? Thank you for watching.